Exciting to be here in front of you. Another college football season is upon us, and we certainly have picked a great matchup. LSU and Florida State, top 10 matchup in week one, and we knew that this day would be coming. It's the only game on Sunday on ABC. It's just a great challenge for our football team, and they've been looking forward to this challenge. It's what motivates you in the off season. All the things that you do to prepare for a great game like this all comes to fruition on Sunday. Look, I could talk for quite a long time about our football team and the development of our team. I think you look at some of the things that are really important, and that is where we've improved from last year is just overall, we're a smarter football team. We understand the systems, we understand the process, we understand the things necessary to become more consistent in everything that we do to be a championship football team. And that is, right down to the smallest of details. This is a hard thing to do, to be consistent in anything in life. And our guys clearly understand that a lot better than they did coming into the season last year. We've made improvements in the technical development of our football team, the tactical development. Physically, we're better. I think mentally, we're better as a football team. Now you got to go out and execute. And so, we've been preparing since the last game we've played, and now we'll see what this team does when it comes time to perform. I have no idea. I know they've prepared really well, and my experience tells me that teams that prepare well, when they flip the switch to performance, that they can and will perform well. We're going to go against a great opponent in Florida State. Coach Norvell's done a great job in bringing this program into elite status, and they've got great players, and it'll be a great challenge and an exciting challenge for our football team. And so we're gonna get that opportunity to put on display all the things that I've just mentioned that we've been working on. You're also going to get a chance to see some great playmakers. Jordan Travis and Jayden Daniels, two great quarterbacks, two elite quarterbacks that can make things happen. Jalen and Jordan, two guys that can run, can throw, elusive. You're going to see some great wide receivers, guys that can go make plays on both sides of the ball. Certainly on the defensive side of the ball, Harold Perkins, Jared Verse, you're going to see two elite defensive players. So it's exciting playmakers. You're going to see two football teams that want to be physical at the point of attack. Two teams that want to run the football and can run the football. So you might be looking at two teams that mirror each other in a lot of ways. So pretty exciting. When you talk about a top 10 matchup and two teams that are putting a lot of playmakers on the field. And the great part about it is, we're going to be very healthy from that perspective. When we announced, a month or so ago about injuries, we told you we'd let you know, what that looked like. And so, we've got three guys on the injury list. Amani Goodwin will be listed as doubtful. Chemo will be listed as questionable, and Josh will be listed as probable, Josh Williams. So three guys on the injury list, and we'll have one player unavailable to us, and that's Mason Smith. So, and I think that Mason's situation has been addressed. So exciting playmakers on the field, nationally televised game, top 10 teams, preseason, all of that. It's going to come down to the execution of the littlest things. And as you guys know, it came down to that the last time we played. Fielding the football cleanly, executing extra points, all those things mattered, and they'll matter again in this kind of matchup. Also, a couple other things to point out that we didn't get a chance to talk about in front of us. We internally, we have a history and tradition of awarding jerseys within the program. The number 18 jersey, which signifies and exemplifies the character traits necessary for that person to wear 18. He's got to have the leadership capabilities. He's got to represent incredible traits and somebody that really is going to wear that jersey both on and off the field and representing LSU football. And that number 18 went to Mekhi Wingo. I'm really proud of him. And the number 7 jersey, we went in a little bit of a different direction. And again, I'm quite aware of the history and tradition behind number 7. Defensive backs and playmakers have worn that, and certainly respect all those that have worn it and have represented it in such a admirable way and has a great tradition and history. I'm not trying to make new history, a new tradition. We just felt our playmaker this year and deserved the recognition, even though he was an offensive lineman. We think that they're an important part. We did not want 7 to be just about a particular position. We wanted 7 to be part of our team, and we felt that playmaker was Will Campbell. So will wear number 7 as a patch on his jersey. As we know, an offensive tackle can't wear the number 7, but the spirit of the number still is about what it should be, and that is somebody that represents the jersey as a playmaker, somebody that is certainly a guy that we can count on and represents our program in a positive way. So I wanted to make sure that we talked about that. We'll be announcing captains here after practice, so we'll have captains. We'll make an announcement on that. I want to talk to our team first about captains, and then we'll get that out to you relative to our captains. Today is a day off for our football team, and they're in a recovery day today, so it's a voluntary day for them to be around the building. So from that standpoint, whether you get it today or tomorrow, it'll be imminent relative to the captains of our football team. And that's kind of the housekeeping items that I had relative to internally within the program. So, again, excited about this matchup, going back to Orlando where we played in the Cheez-It Bowl. And our guys are familiar with Florida State, obviously, have a great deal of respect for their program. And, this is a team that's won 6 in a row. And, again, excited to get the college football season going. So, with that, we'll open it up to questions. Is this in memory of Leah that she's moved on? I mean, I feel like somebody can sit in her chair. I mean, it's like
she might just be late.
Eerie, She was good, but I mean, she went to Texas.
She could be late, is what I said.
No, she's not late. She sent me a note and $10, so we know she's not coming back.
I was just curious what the run game has looked like, offensive line and running back wise in fall camp, compared to maybe where y'all were a year ago.
Yeah, I think, and that's a good question. I mean, we've been trying to get the running back rotation down. As you know, we've had a number of running backs that have been in and out of the lineup. We mentioned Josh is in a really good position. Amani is not. And other guys have been fighting to get back to full strength, which we are. So trying to get consistency at the running back position, which we think we are getting there. I think the biggest improvement has been the ability of our offensive line to gain the continuity up front, having 5 guys working together consistently, and then the ability to adjust after the snap. As you know, this game is played after the snap. There's so much moving, there's so much stemming. The ability to communicate and do the things necessary after the snap, we're so much further along than we were at any time last year. And so that's encouraging moving forward.
Yeah, Brian, your special team, especially your return game, how's that look going into the season? Since I know last year it had some trouble early in the year.
Yeah, so, we're going to go with a true freshman, and Caleb Jackson as the off returner. I think, having, a dynamic player at the other side. Who am I missing? Who's my dynamic player? Yeah, Aaron. He's pretty dynamic. He'll be the on-ball returner and our punt returner. It's just a different look back there. Now, they got to field the ball. They've got to be able to do the little things the right way. But from a special team standpoint, that's what we were looking for. Our miscues last year were evident, right? We didn't field the ball very well. But that coupled with, Damon Ramos has been outstanding, with field goals throughout camp. Jay Bramlett has been a weapon. We think special teams should and can be a positive for us and influence games.
Hey, Coach, at the start of the offseason, Malik made some decisions you said you were disappointed in. From that point forward in the last 6 months or so, how has he led or bounced back from that, and what do you see out of him entering this year in a stadium where the last time we saw him he was pretty incredible?
Yeah. He's matured, like you would hope that any young man, after having some adversity, would learn from that. And, I actually said to him yesterday, where he is today based upon where he was last year is night and day. And that's just the growth, being in the program, making the right choices, learning too. I mean, part of this is being, I know we use the word coachable, but coachable in life too, right? Taking, advice about how to do things on a day-to-day basis and making good choices and decisions, not only just on the football field, but off the field. And so proud of his personal growth and development, and it's going to serve him well this season. We're going to see the kind of growth that he's had off the field, on the field as well.
Hey, Brian, last time we saw Sage Ryan, he was injured in the scrimmage, wasn't on the injury report. Presume he's okay, but can you give us an update on Sage? And then is the plan to keep him at cornerback or make him a little more versatile?
He's going to be versatile. He's fine. Had a, and again, I hate to use terms and with the appearance that I'm trying to make them seem less than they are, but it was a stinger, but it cleared up, and he was able to get back into practice the next day. But we are going to use him both at the nickel and corner position. So he's been cross-trained. A lot of the technical work has been at corner because he knows the nickel position really well. But he's one of our fastest players. He's typically in, when we're talking about GPS speed, he's typically in the high 21 range, and he's topped out at 22. So he can run. He's smart. But I think the thing that has separated him is his ability to tackle in space. So, he's going to play to the field, and I think he gives us some great flexibility.
Hey, Coach, you've talked throughout the offseason and throughout camp about in the backfield how much of a factor experience could be. Josh Williams kind of emerged last year and has just been around the program for a while. Has he kind of become a leader in that group and just a leader in the offense?
he's always been a leader. Last year, his leadership skills were on display. He does everything the right way relative to you can count on him. You know, he's a guy that you want to follow. And so a lot of the young guys, Holly and Jackson, follow him. If they stick around and do what Josh does, they're going to be in great shape. So he's continued on with that. He's an important part of what we do on a day-to-day basis and an important part of our success, yes.
Hey, Brian. You talked a little bit about the continuity of the offensive line. Just a two-parter here. First, compared to last year at this time, going into game week preps, you guys, I'm assuming you're a little better off, obviously. But if you do have your 8 or 9 together, compared to last year, if you have your 8 or 9 set, do they have enough time to make a move before now on game day?
Yeah, I mean, there's not going to be much of a change. I think down the road, as we continue to move, you could see some movement within that top 6, 7. That's very reasonable to expect that there could be some movement there, and that's obviously from some of the freshmen that are coming on. DJ Chester is getting better every day. Obviously Hurd, we've talked about him. Those two guys in particular are making progress every single day. So those two with Martinez, Bordelon continues to improve every day. You've got 8 guys right there that we feel really comfortable about. Chemo's out right now. Hopefully we get him back for the game. He had plantar fasciitis, so we're hopeful. That's a painful thing for your foot, but he's better. But we like what's going on there, and so typically there wouldn't be much movement, but when you're dealing with freshmen, in part of where those 8 or 9 are, there's movement every single day with those guys. Compared to last year, I mean, I think we were talking about who the 5 starters were today. I mean, last year at this time, I'm not even sure if we took a poll in here. We probably came up with 5 different names. Yeah, we're in such a different place than we were last year, and we should be. There's a reasonable expectation that, you should have made progress, from that standpoint. And a lot of it is we started 2 freshmen, and when you start 2 freshmen and you have them go through the battles, the ups and downs of it, it allows you some, foundational pins that now you can work around and start, plugging in the pieces, and we have. You're welcome.
Coach, over here on your right, got a big picture question for you. Now that we're officially starting year 2 here, I'm wondering if you see any similarities between this team in year 2 versus some of your other ones that you've had in years past.
Yeah, I think every one that I've been in part of, it's kind of like there's so much similarity in terms of, one, continuity within the coaching staff, right? I think you start there. Having your coordinators back, having your staff back, where the communication is so much more seamless. Here's what it allows to happen that people sometimes don't give the credit where it's due, and that is players start making adjustments on their own because they now know the system. They understand what's expected, what they can and can't do. So now there's no all right, you can't do this, you can't do that. What you need to do is organically do the things that make sense within the structure of that play. And so when they understand the systems and they understand what you're doing, they can start to make adjustments on the field. Now, I'm not saying if they've got contained that they can rush inside and try to make a play. I'm saying that they have a lot more autonomy because they understand the systems. And so coaches now feel comfortable giving that up to their players. And we're starting to enter into that area, and that's kind of exciting. That happens in year two. The other thing that happens in year two is you're starting to see a little bit of kind of a unconscious competence where the guys aren't thinking about it. They're just doing it because that's the way they're used to doing it. They don't have to think about it. All last year, we had to think about everything we did, from filling out their questionnaires on their phone every single day. They had to think about that every day, to where they were supposed to be at what time. It's now, they don't even think about it. They know where to be. And when you have that going on, those routines, those habits, that starts to develop within your program, again, a way of doing things. It allows the whole organization to move quicker.
Brian, right up the middle, top.
Oh, yes.
Just following on that question perfectly, just what kind of autonomy and points of emphasis did you have for Jaden going from year one to year two? You know, throughout the year last year, you talked about him being maybe more aggressive downfield. What kind of things have you seen or forced, you know, points to him that you wanted him to improve upon in his last year?
Yeah, I think the easiest way we would describe it is that, you know, like, for example, in 7-on-7 situations where we're going against our defense, we tried, you broke the chair. That's $20. Listen, we're on a renewal plan here. We're trying to get everything taken care of. It's a slow process. I know. It's crazy. Wow. You should see, yeah. Oh, wow. Rough group. Throwing stones. Yeah. I mean, I think with Jaden, what we've tried to do in that developmental process is, like, think of 7-on-7 in every throw. Every throw is fourth down. So you got one chance here. And I think last year, every throw was 1st and 10. So it was check down. It was, you know, look for maybe the easiest completion out there. Throw it back shoulder on the tight end, even if he's covered. Push the ball down vertically. You know, let's go make a play down the field. And I think that development in his own mindset and the way he attacks things is probably where we've seen that growth. And that's been exciting to watch.
Coach, would Mason have been 100% if he could play? I think he had an ankle injury.
Probably not. I mean, he probably would have been in that range, and we weren't really sure. Probably one of the reasons why you didn't hear from us, because we weren't really sure where he was. He's still not practicing. So at the level that he needs to be practicing, for us to say that he would be, if I was in front of you today, he would probably be, you know, questionable for this weekend.
And that autograph session, is that something that a compliance department should have maybe caught wind of? I mean, I know you weren't here yet, but just in general, is that something a compliance department should hear
Yeah,
about?
I wasn't here, so I didn't have enough information. I was brought in on the back end of it. So a lot of those things now are vetted through our NIL office, so we're aware of everything that goes on in that setting. So we hope that those are, first of all, we don't have to worry about those because they're no longer issues. But we would certainly be aware of any of those potential situations.
Ryan, what updates or what information are you getting about the game with this storm that's approaching Florida and that sort of thing?
Yeah, we're just tracking it like everybody else. You know, the latest model for us has, you know, the storm being passed out to sea, and that you know, there'll be some, you know, some light winds on the back end of it. But you know, we're going to keep a close track on it. We'll start wet ball drills here tomorrow to prepare for it. But we'll watch it just like everybody else and be prepared for whatever the circumstances. But it looks, unless something drastically happens in the next 24 to 48 hours, it looks like it's clearly going to pass through. And looks like that there's going to be some heavy rain through that area. But clearly unless the model changes drastically in the next 48 hours, it should be out to sea by the time we get there.
Hey, Coach. Just kind of bouncing off the Mason thing, just from an on-field perspective, what have you seen, I guess, from the interior line guys like Wingo and Guillory and some of the transfers you guys brought in, and how you guys stack up on the interior D-line for this game?
Yeah, now let's be clear. I mean, we would love for Mason Smith to be playing in this game. He's an outstanding football player. But we really are pleased with the growth and development of our defensive line. Guys that we haven't talked a lot about, Jefferson has been outstanding in camp. We think he's physical, plays really strong at the point of attack. He's got a lot of experience at playing at West Virginia, and he's going to be a really good football player. Guillory's been outstanding. He's first step quickness, his ability to gain penetration. He's going to be a handful. And Lee has been probably one of the surprises. The transfer from Florida has probably been one of the surprises of camp for us. He didn't have a great spring. He worked harder in the weight room, and he's done a nice job, for us in terms of adding to the depth of that defensive tackle position.
Brian, you mentioned, sort of mirroring with Florida State, and it seems like maybe one of the ways that y'all kind of mirror each other is the way y'all approach the transfer portal over the last few cycles. What do you think has allowed y'all to be successful in that area? And you notice anything with maybe how Florida State has gone about doing it that has worked for them as well?
Well, I think, when you're talking about the transfer portal for us, it's not just about the best player available. You have to look at your roster, and if you're just taking guys and not giving them space to compete, it's hard to recruit them to that position. So, Florida State lost a lot of production at wide receiver. So they were able to make a great case for Keon Coleman. I mean, that was a great case for him to go to Florida State because of all the production lost. They looked at LSU and said, well, they got everybody coming back. That's a different recruiting pitch for us if we made that pitch compared to Florida State. I think in both our cases, we've been very strategic and very pointed on the guys that we've looked at the particular positions that we recruited and said, look, there is a spot here for you to compete and have meaningful playing time. Why did you get in the portal? That's you want to play. Well, here is a spot and an opening for you. And we're not going to guarantee you anything. You got to go earn it. But I think we've been very strategic in terms of that, and the right kind of guy who we're looking for that fits this program. I think both programs have done a pretty good job there.
Brian, I'm just curious what success looks like for Harold Perkins this season. Will he still be able to attack the ball and affect the ball the way he did in the past, or will he free up some other guys?
Well, I think you're going to see him make plays, all over the field. I mean, his plays came from mostly the perimeter. He's a perimeter player that, made a lot of his plays, getting after the quarterback. He's still going to get after the quarterback, but he's going to get after running backs and tight ends. And I think that's going to be exciting to watch. You're going to see a linebacker, not a pass rush specialist. And so I'm excited to watch the development of Harold Perkins into that player that can impact the game, not just coming from the edge and harassing the quarterback, but from all facets and getting the ball loose and, impacting fumbles and big plays. I think it's going to be that kind of Harold Perkins.
Coach, sort of following up on Michael's question, with Harold in particular, would you guys be more willing to use him as a blitzer in a game like this when you don't have a presence like Mason Smith in the middle?
No, not necessarily. I think we're going to be in really good shape internally. Mason just gives you another, dominating presence, but we feel good about the middle of our defense. Harold's going to be able to impact the game in the things that we're going to do with him. He's going to move around. You won't see him just lining up in the middle of our defense. He's going to be, where's Harold Perkins? And you're going to have to find him, and you're going to have to account for him. Just like we're going to have to account for Jared Verse. You know, we're going to have many different ways to handle Jared Verse. You know, we're going to have slide and tight ends and chips and doubles and all kinds of things. He's that good of a player, and they're going to have to find Harold Perkins as well.
Speaking of Jared Verse, what are some of the challenges he will bring you guys offensively?
Well, similar to what I said, is that you have to game plan for a player like that. So within your offensive structure, you know, you're thinking about, okay, we're on the left hash. Where is he? Is he on the right hash? Is he on the left hash? Is he to the field? Is he to the boundary? Are we sliding that way? Are we leaving the tight end to the field? Do we have to motion? So there's a lot more that goes into, just calling a play. You have to be so much more specific. Look, you're going to lose 5 or 6 plays on an average this year, it looks like, with the clock running after first downs. And so if you have to be a little bit more specific to find a Jared Verse so he does not ruin a play, then that's what we're going to have to do. And when we get into games where there is a game wrecker, and he is a game wrecker, you're going to have to be more specific. And if that means we got to slow things down, if that means we have to huddle, yes, we know how to huddle. We still know how to do that. If we have to do that to communicate where those guys are, we certainly would do that too.